Welcome to The Curve Weekly, the podcast that keeps you up to date with all of the money, business, and stock market tea.
Brought to you by the Curve's research team. It's the latest insights on what's happening in the stock market, companies, other money-related news so that you can stay educated and ahead of the curve.
You can thank us later for sounding smarter than those finance bros at your next dinner party.
How was your weekend?
Good. I had a very chilled weekend. I'm recovering from a cold, hence the kind of tail end of sounding like a man.
You actually sound okay.
Energetically, I feel fantastic.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Because Friday was a bit dire, wasn't it? Everyone in the office was going down like flies.
Yes, honestly, it was like, woke up and then Danny texted and then you were like, I'm sick, and then I was sick, and then it was just like, oh gosh. But
The
also,
amount of like echinacea and vitamin C that I've had in the last like 72 hours.
well, when you get an Arctic polar blast, it's like all of us Kiwis are like, hell.
I would like to say it snowed last week, but
Yes.
everyone's been calling it sleet.
Oh,
I'm like, I saw snowflakes. It was
it's like
snowing.
semantics. Gosh.
Basically, that's why everyone got cold, because it was all of a sudden like 1 degree.
Yeah, like literally like that.
Yeah.
Very cold snap. But also the brain fog is real.
I feel like I have brain fog in my life every day.
It kind of makes me think like, is this what I'm going to be like when I'm pregnant? You know how
What was
you
it?
get
Where did you notice it?
just like trying to talk or saying the wrong things or
What about remembering things?
not remembering. It's just more like, I remember being in a meeting with Danny and we're both just like,
Couldn't like,
just couldn't get your words out, couldn't get your train of thought. It was just, everything was
Yeah.
really hard.
okay, interesting.
Not, and I don't know if that's what pregnant women feel like, but I know there is, you know, that whole pregnancy brain, baby brain. Yeah.
baby brain.
Because your body is all focused on making a human, that it's sucking energy and resources away from other parts of your body.
I mean, do you know what I must say? I think the most adult thing I've done in the last probably 6 months
Was the rave that you went to on Friday?
No, not that. That was fun though. No, on Monday when I started to feel myself getting sick, you
Yeah.
know when you feel like you've been hit by a train
So good.
and you're like, oh, I'm so tired. I actually left filming. Like we were still filming and I was like, I've got to go home. Like
I
was
honestly
about-
thought you had the shits or something. You were like, we had 20 minutes to go and she's like, I've got to go, I'm really sorry. And I was like, okay, bye. And then the person that was with us, they were like, is she okay? And I was like, I don't know. It was quite sudden.
It was really sudden. No, I've been thinking about it for about 20 minutes before that.
Okay.
And I was like, I can do it. I'm just going to 12:30 and then I couldn't. And I went home and I slept for 4 hours. And I think that's why I didn't get sick.
But you know the funniest thing? I love you because you like woke up after the 4 hours and called me and you were like, hey Vic, I just think I just had the best. I just did the best thing. I felt like I was getting sick, so I went home and I slept for 4 hours, and now it means I don't have to it won't impact work. I was like,
You slept through the day.
you just slept for. I was like,
But to be fair, it
I was
was
like, I
one-
love your analogy, like your rationality, your
no,
rationale. Yeah.
but it was one day, right?
No, I
Rather
know,
than
yeah.
what would have honestly, because
Yeah.
I'm useless when I'm sick. It's like
Yeah.
a week and a half and I'm just like red-nosed, embarrassing,
Yeah.
and I think, yes, one day bad. But anyway, I actually, in hindsight, think, so I got given these CBD drops, which are good for like your immune system.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have any instructions on it about what time of day you should take it. And I took quite a lot of it on the Monday because you guys were all getting sick. And I
you came to
actually
work on
think
it.
that's what happened. Maybe I went home. That's why I had such a weird long sleep, was because I had CBD. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should take that before you go to sleep, not before you go to work.
Yeah.
Wow. Gotcha. Okay.
So I think that's what happened. So I think that's why all of a sudden I was like, no, I'm going to fall asleep. I'm literally going to fall asleep right now if I don't
Oh,
leave.
please don't drive a car or anything like that. Or, use any heavy machinery.
Oh, quickly, before we get onto the stock market and, business money news, last week how I said I'd done a bit of a deep dive on my finances and I'd separated out my, money. You can get virtual cards for, different pots on
yeah.
Monzo, which is what I use, and I've been doing it. I kind of was skeptical if I was going to do all this work and then it was just going to be the classic, oh, whoopsies, I forgot to track. Anyway, every time I go to spend something, I'm like, do I need this or do I want this? And I get out either my essentials card or my non-essentials card.
Love
and it's been
it.
working.
Nice.
I've all of a sudden got more money than I ever thought because I'm actually aware of what's going out.
Love that.
I know that sounds so obvious, but anyway,
Yeah.
it's been quite a revelation for me.
Yeah, we go through all that in this new course we're launching.
Oh, yeah. It's
Are we
for the
allowed to
UK.
talk about that?
It's coming out in like a week for the UK. So if you're in the UK, you can know about it. It's probably about, I would say, starting next year for New Zealand.
Yeah, but we got early bird.
Oh, yeah,
early
we
bird
do.
on sale.
Yeah, you can find it on our website. We'll put a link in the
Yeah.
podcast show notes.
Lol, I don't know. Are we allowed to say this? Too late. I also started a little fund.
Oh, what?
Well, you know when you're sick and you're just like, you think, I should really be eating healthy and fueling my body and all of that. And I really don't. Like, majority of the time, I really don't.
You do.
I don't. I do have like blowouts and
Only
stuff.
sometimes.
No.
I would say 90% of the time you're really good.
But I'm just like, I'm very tempted to be like, ooh, I'll just get a croissant. Or, ooh, I'll just get a burger. Or I'll just,
That's
you know,
fine
like,
every now and again.
no, but this is the thing. It's like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was like, I really need to focus on fueling my body and eating nutritious whole foods rather than defaulting for takeaways or whatever.
Yeah.
So I started like a healthy eating fund.
Nice.
So every time I want to go and get a coffee and a croissant and I don't get the croissant, I transfer the money that I would spend on the unhealthy food
nice.
into a little fund.
Love that.
It's got £5 in it. This weekend.
Where did you avoid the croissant?
I think it was last week.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
So one day
One
you
day,
managed.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so what's going to happen with your
But like in
croissant
the weekend,
fund?
I got like a burger and fries. And I
You
was like, yeah.
earned it, Vic.
No, I know. But
You
I was
know-
like, and I just remember being like, oh, my poor fund.
Nah.
It's not going to grow.
I disagree. I
Yeah.
think this is a good fund for you to have, a
Yeah.
fun little croissant fund.
Yeah.
But I think that for the most part, you've got random chopped salad by your desk or like some tuna,
Yeah.
cucumber, you know.
But yeah, that's just a little
Nice. I love it.
Innovative way. Oh,
It's a good way actually to start encouraging good behaviour.
Yes, yeah.
Whether it's the way that you eat, whether it's the way that you exercise.
because I used to have like a morning workout fund as well every time I did.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and then it's just like, then now it's just like a non-negotiable. So I can stop doing that and I can contribute to something else.
Oh,
so it's
so
a way of like
Getting into a habit.
getting into a habit and then it becomes second nature and you don't have to think about it anymore. And then you start contributing something else and then something else.
Maybe I
something
should do that at my meditation fund.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
actually a really good idea. So
Yeah.
every day I transfer £5 if I do it.
Yeah. News. So, I honestly was so sick of saying his name. Trump. He started to introduce policies already, which
I thought he wasn't even really in power
he's not
yet.
inaugurated yet, no, but he can start putting the wheels in motion. So he has announced a 10% tariff on goods from China into the US.
Could you explain the tariff?
I'm getting there. Just jumping the
Sorry.
gun.
I was just trumping the gun.
Jumping the gun. So yes, he has announced 10% tariff on goods from China and 25% on all products from Mexico and Canada. So China, Mexico, and Canada
It's
are all going
kind
to have
of
tariffs.
like a tax, extra tax.
Yes, yeah. Tariffs essentially make the products more expensive. So the biggest imports from China to the US is things like machinery, electronics. So a lot of things that go into like cars, laptops, phones, all of that comes from China into the US. If a manufacturer in the US, for example, needs a part from China, it's now going to cost 25% more.
Shit, that's a lot more.
Who do you think ends up paying that?
Customers.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, well, this laptop that I'm making now is going to be 25% more expensive as a producer or as a manufacturer. I'm just going to pass that on to the end consumer. What it is supposed to encourage is those manufacturers to look locally and be like, imported goods are more expensive, so let's look locally and see if we can find something that might be a little bit more expensive, but not as expensive as.
Oh, well, I mean,
as
it's
the
kind of
overseas one.
clever in a way. Like, I understand the idea of it.
But it just leads to higher inflation and higher prices, which we've just come out of this whole super high inflation cycle.
So is there not a world in which you can find more local alternatives or?
No. The whole preface of economics is that globalization is great. It's great for consumers. It's great for world productivity, for economic growth, because everyone is doing their bit the best they can. And we're all joining forces to provide products and services the best that our countries can. Whereas this is very much going, no, stay out of the US. We can do everything really, really great, even if it means more expensive.
Trump is trying to make it seem like he is being all for America by
Yes.
collecting everything back into the States. But what he's actually doing without people realizing it is going to be bringing inflation up, which means everything's going to be more expensive.
Yes, and this is the thing. People voted for him because they were like, yeah, make America great again. And tariffs are always a political debate. But what you should think tariffs, exactly that, it's taxes. It's taxes on goods that you use all day, every day, that you buy, that you're just going to end up paying more for. So it's like, you might be like, yeah, America, make America great, but you end up paying. So it's kind of, it's absolutely stupid. And it's like economics 101 is that trade wars are terrible.
Trade wars.
So this is what's happened now. And China's coming back and going, okay, well, if you're going to slap 25% on goods coming into America, we're going to slap 50, 100% on any good. And it's like a big dick competition. People have asked Trump, okay, why are you doing this if it's just going to lead to higher prices? And he said it's to clamp down on migrants and illegal drugs that come into the US. He's saying it's like a retaliation. He's like, Canada and Mexico, you all send illegal drugs and immigrants to the US, so I'm going to slap this tariff on you.
So he's doing actually like...
It's like just a tit for tat. It's like,
my God.
He's not thinking about the actual repercussions of, okay, well, high inflation, that means cost of living crisis. That means that's higher interest rates, which means higher mortgages, which means lower house prices, which like everything's related. It's honestly...
So do you think that, because what we've seen is the stock market absolutely skyrocket.
That's from the taxes cuts. That he was going to introduce for corporates. So there was going to be tax cuts, which means more profits, which means higher share prices. That's why the stock market really has done so well.
But do you think there's also something to do with the dream of what they think Trump is going to be bringing? And then when the reality sinks in potentially in, 6 months and they see the flow-ons of these tariffs, the people might actually start to be like, oh gosh, this is actually really not good for the economy.
And the industries that are most impacted by these tariffs, their share prices haven't done well. So like manufacturers, the auto industry has done terribly.
The what, sorry?
The auto industry, automobile, car industry.
I feel like, I'm not sure if it's that you're sick, but I feel like you're speaking very fast.
Am I?
Yes.
Auto?
Yes, I got it the third time, but I was like, what?
I do.
I don't know if all
Am
of
I
a sudden...
speaking... Do I sound okay?
You sound okay.
Oh, okay.
Like, you definitely don't sound 100%, but
I
you...
sound a bit nasally, don't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell. It's coming out. Sorry.
But it's more...
I'll slow down.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, thank you.
My mum always says I speak really fast. I'm like, Mum, we have like 50,000 listeners of the podcast and you're the only one that says I speak fast.
Eileen, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Today only.
I put you on 1.5 times. You speak so slow.
Do you? Yeah. Rude. I've actually started doing that to you too, if it makes sense.
And I did it with another friend and I was like, whoa. She speaks so fast.
Really?
And I was like, oh, sorry, that's right. I had her speaking. But it's such a good hack.
Yeah.
Efficiency.
I must say, I used to be very offended you did that, and now I do it to most people.
Yeah. But the key learning from this is that if we head back into a high inflation state because of this, one thing to make sure with your savings is that
you don't have it in the bank.
Yes.
Because if you have your money in the bank...
And by bank, we mean like transaction everyday account. Don't have your money in there.
Yeah, you need to make sure at the very least you have it in a high interest savings account.
Yeah.
Or term deposit or something like that.
Something that's growing. Yeah.
And the reason for that is, let's say inflation's at 8%. It means that if you go to the supermarket and you were to buy 5 things, you had butter, cheese, bread,
milk.
what's another? No, yeah, all the dairy and a little bit of gluten with like $100.
You only made it to the dairy aisle.
Or £100. Then... if inflation's at 8%, it means that the same amount of money a year later, everything's 8% more expensive. So you might only be able to get like 4 things with the same amount of money. So you basically, if you have your money in the bank, you want it to be getting an interest of a minimum at the same rate as inflation.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're losing money.
It's like the purchasing power or what you can afford. So the power of your money goes less far because you can purchase less. Did you know supermarkets... they put all the necessities
at the end
at all different spots of the supermarket, so you have to go all the way around. So if you wanted bread, milk, eggs,
Why are we struggling so much? Have we both got brain fog? Like, what's happening? Cereal.
Cereal, yeah.
I eat cereal.
They're all in different sections.
I'm kind of like, fair play.
Fuck yeah.
Because I'm going to go around and get everything I don't need.
Yeah.
I think if you know the system, you can hack it.
Like if I owned a shop and I knew that everyone wanted to buy...
You're not going to put them right at the entrance and then they in and out.
Yeah, in and out. Anyway, I have a new investing idea for you, Soph.
Ooh, fun.
Yes. There's a saying, and I know you don't really get it, but I'm hoping that you're going to get it after this.
Is it your shitty quote?
No. This one is a Warren Buffett one that says...
If there's blood on the streets.
Yeah, buy when there's blood on the streets. And what that means...
It's quite aggressive.
Yeah.
It sounds like we're in the medieval
Okay, maybe
times.
there's another one. There's another one that's kind of similar, which is...
Buy low, sell high.
Kind of. Yeah, that's better, yeah. Buy low, sell high.
But is it that one? Or
Be greedy when everyone is fearful and fearful when everyone's greedy.
Yeah, God.
And this is kind of what's happening at the moment. Like the market has done so well that everyone's getting greedy. Everyone's like, oh, I need to invest. Oh, I need to buy Bitcoin. Oh,
Same.
you know?
I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm the Bitcoin queen.
We used to have a taxi driver test at work in the olden days when I was a portfolio
in
manager.
the olden days. Good Lord. It's been a year and a half.
It was like if taxi drivers are talking to you about Bitcoin or about Nvidia or some kind of stock, that's when you sell because you know that it's reached the masses. There's no more people to buy that.
Oh,
because
that makes way more sense when you say it like that.
It kind of plays into this, be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. Right now, there's one region that people are fearful or they're not
what
buying.
is it?
So it's what we call emerging markets.
Okay.
And it's a group of companies. So it's like Brazil, China.
Just China emerging.
Yeah. It's
Really?
like developing, emerging. It's kind of,
Wow.
yeah. India, Greece, Egypt. Like there's lots of countries in there. And you've got the emerging markets, you've got the developed markets. That's how.
And developed markets would be like the UK, the US.
Yep. Australia.
Okay. So the big main
France, Germany. Yeah.
ones.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's all determined by things about GDP. So like how much the country produces, standard of living, financial system. Like there's a whole lot of metrics that they do to try and kind of clarify them. The emerging market index. So this.
Oh, great idea.
Yeah. So this is absolutely in the gutter. Like it is delivered 4% per year over the last 5 years versus the US stock market, which is like on average about 15% over the last 5 years. It's absolutely like just had 4% growth. It's like absolutely
has it
like,
ever had
you can
good
get that,
growth?
You can get that in a term deposit. Do you know why take the risk and invest in stocks if I can get that in a term deposit, which is way less risky?
I love this.
Yeah.
We're going shopping
I want
to
show you this
emerging
graph.
markets.
The index has not been this low since 1975.
Whoa.
I look at this and I go, the probability of that index falling, say another 20%, I'm just pulling percentages out of my head, but is probably pretty low. The probability of that going up 20% is a lot higher, in my opinion, because of where it is at the moment.
This is a fun game.
Yeah. So,
and a great idea.
And you can see from this graph, it goes in cycles. We're due for another cycle.
Ooh.
So,
where
yeah.
do I get it? What's the, what is it?
So the ETF is the iShares MSCI Emerging Market ETF.
This is
lots of jargon
I'm
and acronyms.
so excited.
And
this is such a good
all
idea.
you need to know is its ticker code is EEM. Investing in stocks does come with risk, and emerging markets in particular. But what we've seen out of China lately, with the government spending a lot of money to boost their economy, is good for this index because it's a large part of the index. There's lots of things going on, but yeah.
If you've never invested before and you hear this and you think, maybe this is a good opportunity, don't do what I did when I first started. And thank God I had a Victoria to message, but I was like, I'm going to put, I think it was honestly maybe $5,000 I wanted to put in Air New Zealand because I had no context as to how much that was.
I should have said something. I should have, yeah.
And Vic was like, oh, I wouldn't do that much. I was like, hey, well, what about 500? And she was like, I still think that's a lot. So I ended up doing like 100, which was way more reasonable. If you're excited about this, but you don't invest a lot, or it might be like a new idea for you, just go little amounts. Honestly, even like £20, $20, like just so that you can see what happens. It could be a good learning curve. Literally, we're hoping it's curving upwards.
Yes. Yeah. And it is well diversified as well because it's an ETF, which means you're not only buying one company or one share in one company, you're buying You're getting access to a whole lot of countries, a whole lot of companies. It's a really well diversified ETF.
Cool. Love that idea.
Also, do you like my new earring?
Well, I'm just wondering why you're only wearing one.
There's two.
Well, why are they on the same ear?
Because that's the look.
Oh.
Sorry, Mum.
No, but I'm being serious. It's like...
Why have you got ripped jeans?
I know, but you've got one giant earring. It looks very lopsided. Is it meant to?
Yeah, I like it.
No, I really like it.
Thank you.
No wonder you wanted to swap seats, though. You wanted to have your ear towards the camera.
My birthday present.
Very cool.
From my sister. Jasmine Sparrow earring.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh, her jewellery is so good.
Love Jasmine Sparrow.
Love Jasmine Sparrow.
Oh, do you know what? Sorry, just while we're doing like Kiwi brands that we love, this is totally unrelated to your earring or anything.
Oh, God.
Do you know what has been the best investment in my skin ever?
Emulation.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say salmon sperm. Oh my God, I have
All
the
the
funniest
celebrities
story.
eating salmon sperm in their face, by the way, in case anyone didn't know.
My
what it was.
friend looked into getting it in Amsterdam because she's going there for a holiday. And she asked a friend who lives there, hey, do they do it in Amsterdam? And what's the price? And is it cheaper? Should I wait till then? And friend replied, yeah, it's way cheaper, but it's trout sperm, not salmon.
What the hell?
It's like they were like broke.
So weird.
Sorry, that's
okay,
like-
anyway.
yeah.
Emulation, I've been using her serum. We all know I've struggled with acne.
Yeah.
How good is my skin looking right
That's
now?
amazing. Yeah. I mean, there's a...
I know there's one on my chin. I
woke
really
up with
didn't
one.
think you
I
could
haven't
see
had one in
that.
ages. You know, I've gone through puberty.
You're about to go through menopause.
Menopause now. Yeah.
No, I know that it's the blemish serum. Anyway, I put it on my Instagram a while ago, being like, I swear by this.
Obsessed, yeah.
And so many people messaged me being like, I'm going to buy it right now. Anyway, we should get back to it.
Interest rates.
Yes. Oh, perfect. What was that?
Just your reaction.
Just like the deep, like part of your nasal passage.
It was kind of like a nasal laugh. Interest rates in New Zealand. I am over the moon at this
Okay,
news.
tell me.
So I have a house and in New Zealand.
You have two houses.
I have 2 houses in New Zealand. And I am very, very stoked that mortgage rates are dropping. Like, hallelujah, this has been the longest couple of years of high interest rates. I'm like, yeah, it's been
Really shit, isn't it?
Yeah, and so I'm like, keep dropping, keep it falling, love this. Love this.
So when it's falling and when it's high, are you essentially, all the money you're putting towards your mortgage is basically just interest? You're not actually paying your principal or like the actual loan
You can
down?
choose, but you usually you pay principal and interest, so the amount just increases. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I mean, if the interest rate, I remember at one point your interest was like 60,000 a year or something.
Yeah.
When it's that high, you're basically just paying your interest.
You can go interest only,
Yeah.
but most banks don't really like that because they want you to be paying back your debt.
Not many people could afford more than that. That's
I know. That's why it's like a lot of
outrageous.
people go interest only, but then your debt's.
God, that
it's like a credit card. You're just
sucks.
paying the interest. You're not actually paying anything off.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's like for a lot of people who've had to go to just paying their interest, they're not really getting ahead with their paying their loan off.
Yeah, but you're still getting the capital gain from the property price increasing. So your interest is just like, it's just paying itself, and hopefully you're getting some capital gain if house prices going up. But if your house price is going down and you're just paying interest,
Oh my
that's,
God.
let's not talk about that. But yeah, anyway, New Zealand has now one of the most aggressive interest rate cutting policies in the Western world.
Shit, yeah, go
Yeah.
New Zealand.
Which
Is it a good thing?
that was my reaction. I was like, yeah, and then I was like, oh.
What does it mean?
So the reason we do is because the economy isn't doing very well. So remember, if interest rates are falling, that means it's much cheaper to borrow debt for companies, for example. So then they can grow, they're more productive, it's cheaper, it means because
We're more encouraged to spend.
we're more to
because-
spend because we're not getting as much money. We're not getting as much return for our money in the bank because savings rates are dropping. So when we had the global financial crisis and the whole world was kind of in turmoil, there was a worldwide huge cut in interest rates
Because people wanted people
because
to
they were
spend.
like, oh dear God, this is going to affect the economy and we need the economies to be firing on all cylinders kind of thing. So this is like going, oh, the economy in New Zealand doesn't look too good. We need to reduce interest rates to encourage companies to spend. We need to encourage people to spend. We need to help boost the economy. So while it is good in one sense, it's kind of, the reasoning is not good. But it would be worse if we hadn't increased interest rates because we'd have no lever to pull. Does that make sense? Yeah. So we're kind of in a good position.
Is it problematic though if they bring them down, like they've just suggested, and then the economy's still shitting itself?
Well, yeah, then you have to look at alternative measures.
For people overseas who don't own property in New Zealand, if they're wanting to buy property in New Zealand, because New Zealand property has for a long time done really, really well.
Yeah.
What are the risks for the property market if the overarching economy is starting to do really badly?
If the economy is doing badly, then that means that businesses won't do well, because if you think people aren't out and about spending money, so there'll be store closures, companies laying off staff, more unemployment, there'd be less people immigrating, so less people wanting to move to New Zealand, so you've got less new people coming in to spend money because they're like, oh, I'd rather go to Australia where the economy is doing a lot better. But economies, they do move in cycles, so eventually it gets to a point where maybe the unemployment is really high, so wages have come down, and then companies can now hire people because wages are so low, and then the economy gets better and people start spending money. So it all kind of works in cycles, and we're kind of in this cycle where it's not very good, but
it's just New Zealand.
It's just New Zealand, and they're just pulling this lever to see, okay, will this mean the house price will increase? People will feel more wealthy because they've got a lot of value in their houses. So there's certain things you can pull that could save it.
It's quite interesting that New Zealand property has always done so well, and yet, to be honest, most people don't move to New Zealand. Most people move away from New Zealand.
Well, it's capital gains tax. We don't have any capital gains tax.
Oh, is that the main reason?
So you can come buy a house and...
Shit, yeah, that's great.
That's why the property price. And KiwiSaver, we can take our KiwiSaver out to purchase a house. Like, there's so many things that influence a really good, healthy property market. How's your property buying?
I was just about to say, I am going to buy with a friend.
Nice.
We've done a whole lot of, which actually I should maybe share. We asked each other like 10 questions to make sure we were on the same page with like, how long do you plan on having invested? What happens if this happens? What happens if this happens?
That's great.
It was quite intense to talk about because and actually what I thought was one of my brilliant suggestions was, because obviously there's maintenance with the house, especially if you're buying an investment property and you need to make sure it's, if there's people living in it, that it's in good shape. But I suggested, okay, well maybe both of us put a certain percentage or amount, so it's equal, into a shared high interest savings account, like fund, for maintenance. So when it comes up, we prioritise what we collectively can afford based on what we've put in there.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you might have one person saying, we need a new roof, and the other person's like, well, I can't afford it.
Or like, I don't think that's priority. Like, I think the new carpet is or something. So
it's like if you have a shared amount that you're both putting into, that's what you use to pay for maintenance.
Yeah.
And based on what you can afford, you use it. And I was like, that's quite clever. I actually even saw an Instagram post, I think someone sent it to our Curve team, and it was about how people are trying to make buying property kind of less
something you do as a
romantic.
Couple.
Yeah, which I really liked. It was like couples putting mortgages before marriage.
Oh yes, the Wall Street Journal. Yeah,
it's just the idea of like unmarried buyers are prioritizing financial freedom over a legal one, and the idea of like couples obviously trying to buy property first before they get married. But equally, I think the idea of trying to reach financial independence or freedom, whether you're in a relationship or not. Like, I hate this idea that you need to wait to be in a relationship where you can't do it if you're not in love. Like, it's a business deal.
Yeah.
And you should be approaching it in that same way. And so I think...
It's an investment, and it's like, you can invest in businesses together. We've invested in this business together.
Yeah.
Like, you can... It's a transaction. But the key thing is just making sure that you've got good contracts.
The other thing that I've thought about, and I don't know if this is a clever idea, but I think it is. I don't want to have all of my money in property. Like, I want to have a decent amount of it in property, but I don't want to have all of it. And so if I go in with someone, I can still put a decent amount in and afford to get a house and do it up and whatever. But it's not like everything. And I also think when you're in a startup, it's not like we're working for a big giant corporate. Like, I want to have a decent buffer of money.
Yes, that's really great. So I'm really excited.
Same.
Yeah.
And because we're going home to New Zealand in like a month, I think it's a good time. I can like have a look. I can kind of be amongst it.
But I think also the reason people are buying houses together is it's a function of just house prices getting so expensive and unobtainable for a lot of people. It's so hard to buy a house yourself on a single a single salary, let alone women that get paid less than men. You know, there's far less women being able to buy because of house prices as well.
What I don't understand is why it's so much easier to buy when you're in a couple than if you're not. It kind of annoys me because, for example, for us, like all of the legalities and things we have to put in place is quite different if we were in a relationship.
Yeah.
And I went to this talk last week. It was talking about how in society, you know, and socially, we really, really pedestal romantic relationships and friendships and like for everything from like how much time you could take off from a bereavement standpoint at work if a friend dies versus if your partner dies or a family member. We're kind of told that there's this real pinnacle which is romantic love, which is in a relationship sense, but actually we don't prioritise or pedestal our friendships or our work relationships or other family, whatever, in the same way. And so I kind of like the idea of going against the grain a little bit and not buying in a romantic dynamic. I don't want to feel like my whole financial future of freedom relies on a relationship staying together. It's a business decision and I want to approach it in that way.
Love that.
Yeah. Have we got any other news?
Well, I just wanted to say with the interest rates dropping in New Zealand, if you are in New Zealand, I have already contacted my bank and been like, hey, I want the lower interest rate, please. So if you're on a fixed rate, so you can get fixed or floating mortgages. So floating means you automatically get this rate because when the rate changes, you just get
So it's kind of like following the market. If you're investing in the S&P 500, you follow what the market does.
Yeah, and so if interest rates are going up, you'd also get that too. There would be you just automatically go on to the new higher rate. Whereas fixed, it's like fixed for 6 months, 12 months, 5 years, whatever. So if you're coming up to the end of your fixed rate term, then this is a really good chance to talk to your bank and be like, hey, I want a lower rate, please.
Is there anything else, Vic, that you'd like to report? Any news that on your perusing across all the different, websites, articles, etc., you found something you want to share?
Well, we do talk a lot about climate change and how it impacts certain companies and the stock market and Trump coming in and like all of that.
I have this feeling like you're about to that this is directly aimed at me.
Well, I haven't actually put this correlation together, but there's also been a huge increase in like coffee prices. And
yes, it's outrageous. I think I figured out I spent £140 last month.
Yeah. And you don't drink. Yeah.
300 New Zealand dollars on coffee.
Yeah.
Like disgusting.
You could buy a really good espresso for that.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's why I'm switching to matcha.
Which is more expensive.
Is it?
Way more expensive.
How much?
I used to have paid £2.60 for my coffee.
Oh.
My long black. This is like £4. Anyway, coffee prices have reached their highest level since 1997, and it's all due to climate change.
Right.
The coffee beans, so the Arabica.
It sounds kind of familiar.
Arabica coffee.
Yeah.
Which is grown in Brazil, has been impacted by climate change. So the price of the beans has got more and more expensive, which means that it's gone up like 26% or something. So that just flows through to higher coffee prices for all of us.
Whoa.
So if you're like, climate change is not real, or I'm a naysayer, or it doesn't affect me.
Firstly, naysayer, how old are you? 95. When would you ever in conversation go, I mean, if you're a naysayer?
Well, like a non-believer. Sorry, okay. Naysayer was the person. I am an old person now. I'm 36.
I don't even think Warren Buffett would say naysayer, and he's nearly 90. But anyway, the point is it's not just inflation that's increasing your coffee prices. It's actually the fact that the coffee crops or like the coffee beans it's like much harder for them to grow, I'm imagining.
Like if you think you had like a really normal consistent season of growing coffee beans, and then now you've got tornadoes, you've got floods, you've got like you've got all of this, or the opposite. You're like, now you've got really extreme wildfires decimating crops, supplies getting less but demand's still the same, then that just means higher prices. So
do you think that investing in like organic farming or like thinking about what's happening to the way that we farm and like how we're relying on natural resources for things like food, I wonder if there's like an alternative, because if the temperature keeps rising like it is and we keep having, global warming is getting worse, there will be alternatives. We will just have to figure it out.
Yeah.
I wonder what those are.
Yeah, and it's like investing in companies that are doing good for the planet, not ones that are harming the planet. So your channeling your money and your capital into companies, so you're supporting those companies that are having a positive effect on the planet.
But
in the long run,
I was more
what do you
meaning
mean?
like.
Because organic will probably still be impacted.
No, I mean, it's probably not organic, but maybe there's some amazing companies that are growing all their vegetables in a completely different environment. Or, you know, just, I'm thinking kind of bigger than that. There might even be a time we can't even use the soil. So then what?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Okay, can we finish on a high? Is there any positive news?
Thought of a really good joke in the weekend.
Oh, my God, tell me what it is. Did you make this up?
No.
Okay, thank God.
It's a Christmas joke.
Okay, great.
It's Christmas time.
Oh my God, love this. Yeah. Start of December.
And it's a great way to end the podcast.
What do you have?
What does Santa say at the end of his yoga class?
Nay, nay, nay.
Namaste. And on that, people, we will end this podcast.
Thank you so much for listening to The Curve Weekly. Make sure you hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with all the money, biz and stock market news. And if you like what you heard, we would love a review. Thank you.
Yes, we would love a review. But if you
Only
did
a good
hate
one.
it, please, don't leave one if you hate it. No, but in all seriousness, could you please leave a review? Because it really helps other people find our cute little podcast.
And we hope you have a good week and see you next Monday.
Bye.
Bye. Sweet. Yeah. See you next Tuesday. Lol. See you next Tuesday. I mean Monday.
No, actually, though, new episodes out every Tuesday. Okay, quickly. The Curve was created to empower and educate you about investing, but we are not financial advisors.
Our platform exists for educational purposes only, and it doesn't provide personalized investing advice for your individual needs and should not be relied upon to make an investment or financial decision.
And always remember to do your own research before making any investment or financial decision.
We're here for any knowledge and support you need, but the final call is always yours.
And thanks for being here.
You got this.
Yeah, we know you got this.